Welcome to Spotlight on the Word. I am Esther Ama Amu, a UI UX designer. As you all know, we are in the month of October, and then this month on Spotlight on the Word, we are dedicating it to the ladies. So we call it the Ladies Month. We are dedicating this month to the ladies mainly because every year in the month of October, we see that there are programs or activities, seminars, awareness programs that are done normally for the ladies. So due to that, we are also dedicating the month of October to just the ladies. And then we have some activities that we'll be doing in this month, very interesting activities. And then I would like to mention a few of them to you. So we have sexual abuse, and then the woman's choice, unwanted pregnancy, breast cancer. For that, we always know that in the month of October, we always see breast cancer awareness program being organized. So we will talk about that one too as well. And then we have the role of woman in the church, and also we will have an interview with a special guest. Special guest. Okay, so on the stage we have with us two wonderful ladies, and then we'll let them introduce themselves. Back to you, ladies.
Hello viewers of Spotlight on the Word. I'm Abna Sawajemfi and I just completed KUST. Yes, I read English and I do podcasts and I volunteer at Focus FM, which is on campus. Yeah.
Hi viewers, I am Bridget Ntiwapia and I also just completed KUST. I read Human Resource Management. I am a podcaster and environmental advocate.
Okay, thank you very much for introducing yourself to the audience. I'm really interested in your volunteering activities that you guys are doing. What actually do you do?
Okay, so the name of this group or foundation is Everyday Green Living, and you can follow it on Instagram. Actually, our aim is to raise environmental awareness through social media and also go to schools, especially basic schools, because these are the people who are not easily connected, or we can't easily find them on social media platforms. So we go to schools, and just recently, that was in June, we went to one basic school to create awareness, to talk to them, to educate them on environmental issues, because we think that our environment is connected to our health, and if we don't protect our surroundings or the planet, we can't stay healthy. So you can follow us and also help us to propagate this word.
Okay, so I'd like to pass this. So anytime you are doing a program or you have any program with the environmental, you can contact the ladies on Spotlight on the Word.
We are hoping for a mega one.
Okay, we will join you. Abna Sewa, you also work at the Focus FM, KUST, right?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I read news to say I'm a news anchor, and I host a show called Technocrat. When the main host is not around, I sit in for the main host, and I do other production works as well.
Okay, so you can see we have talented ladies in our midst. Yeah, we have three other ladies who also join us online. We have Abigail Ofori Amora, Dr. Lydia Jan Kese, and Anna Inisia. Kindly do well to follow our social media platform at Spotlight on the Word on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and then at Spotlight OTW for Twitter. You can also visit our website www.spotlightontheword.com. Do well to download our app on Play Store and then App Store. So today we are discussing sexual harassment. I know we all know what sexual harassment is, but I'm very sure we'll be learning a lot from our panelists here today and those who join us online. kindly brief us, Abnasewa, kindly brief us or introduce the topic to us. What do we mean by sexual harassment?
Okay, so sexual harassment is one of the most discussed or most popular topics relating to ladies, if I should say, because in one way or the other, almost everyone has experienced sexual harassment before. And when we say sexual harassment, it's when someone makes an unwelcome sexual advance towards you. So it can be in the form of a touch, it can be verbal, and it can be sexual as well. So when someone tells you, oh yeah, you I say, oh no for someone is giving you, it's a verbal abuse. If the person is not really someone, it's not your mother who is monitoring your growth, but it's a stranger or someone elsewhere stalking you and looking at these sensual places and saying those comments, all those things are considered as sexual harassment. Mostly we tend to look at the violent part where someone is pushed down and the person is raped, or the person is meted with all those sexual acts. But we should know that all those verbal and those touches that are unwelcome are all forms of sexual harassment. And we do know that yes, sexual harassment happens to men as well, but it's not as popular as women.
Yeah.
Yes, but today we are talking about women, so we are sorry if we don't really talk about
You're not
the
trying
men.
to be biased.
Yes,
Yeah,
you are not being biased, but you know that you yourself, you know that it happens to we females than you do. So yeah, basically that's what sexual harassment is.
I agree 100% with Abna, because though some people will say that we are trying to be biased, but in most cases, ladies or women or females experience or go through sexual harassment. And as she said, unwelcome sexual advances or conduct toward you. And the thing is unwelcome. So if someone touches you or someone tells you that, hey, your butt is becoming big, your boobs are becoming big, fine. If you feel comfortable with it, it's not sexual harassment. But the moment you're in a situation that you feel uncomfortable, or someone tells me that, hey, what you are crowded, or you are in classes, you are in class, right? If I'm comfortable with it, it's okay. But the moment I start feeling uncomfortable, meaning it becomes sexual harassment, and I can report such person for that.
Oh, thank you very much. Viewers, did you know that there's another form of sexual harassment, which is verbal harassment? Normally we do hear of the sexual aspect where the touches, that's the physical touch as she mentioned, but there's another one which is the verbal harassment. Okay, thank you very much for that, ladies. I have a few questions here that we'll be asking our panelists. If you also have any question that you also want to ask them, you can drop them in the comment section, and then we'll reply your questions. Yeah. Okay, to Abnasewa, right? Yes. How will you explain sexual harassment to someone? No, before you answer, I would like Bridget to answer that question, because you are the one doing the volunteering work. You go to schools, yeah. So how would you explain sexual harassment?
Okay, basically sexual harassment, as I made in my earlier statement, that any unwelcome sexual advances or conduct toward a person. And this harassment, it's normally people limit it to the workplace, though like it can happen anywhere, but we normally hear of these cases in the workplace. So if someone, as I said, if someone tells you you look too young and it makes you feel uncomfortable, you can report the person for sexual harassment. Or if someone gives you a wink and the person will start licking his mouth, or the person gives you a wink. If you feel comfortable, that's fine, but if you don't feel comfortable, it becomes sexual harassment. And it is not just females, though men go through such situations, but in most cases, or per the start, women go through sexual harassment more than men. So anything like any sexual advances made toward you that makes you feel uncomfortable, we can say that you are being harassed or sexually harassed.
Okay, so from what you said, the key word was unwelcome advances. Let's take note of that. And to Abna Sewa, what are the forms of sexual harassment?
Okay. As initially stated, when we're discussing the overview of sexual harassment, I said that we have the verbal abuse and we have the physical abuse. And with the verbal abuse, mostly some people don't really realize that what they are doing is an abuse or they are sexually harassing someone. In case if you go to the office and someone just probably your boss just pops up and say, hey, the ties I fresh like those sensual comments about your body.
Yeah.
All those things are abuse. If the person is not someone you have that kind of relationship with, so you don't expect that person to give those comments. In that sense, we have the verbal abuse. And one thing we need to note is the verbal abuse brings the emotional abuse. When someone gives such humiliating comments like this, it tends to affect the person emotionally. So that brings about the emotional abuse. Then we have the physical abuse, which is very popular. This is the one where the person is forced or the person engages in violence in order to get the person to sleep with or to commit all those sexual acts with. And with the physical abuse, sometimes simple touch, probably you are greeting someone and the person tends to pass his hand through your palm.
Yeah.
All these are sexual harassment. I think people don't know these things, but the little things that we do with our opposite sex that are so not welcome, all those things are factored as sexual abuse.
And
so
I have some examples here that's verbal, with a verbal.
Okay.
Telling lies or spreading rumors about a person's personal sex life.
Sure.
Referring to an adult as a girl, whistling at someone, catcalls, making sexual comments about a person. A lot of them. I mean, so far as that thing makes you uncomfortable, like sexual advances, you didn't call for it, or there is no mutual understanding or agreement, then you can report such person for sexual harassment.
Sure. At this point, we'll be very glad if you share your comments on our comment section. Like, we want the comment section to be very interactive, so you can be having us discussions there as well. Okay. You, Abna Sewa, this question goes to you again.
Okay.
How serious do you think this problem is?
Oh, this is a very big issue because, as we were saying, this happens to almost every lady. And the most serious thing is people don't realize it when they are doing it. You get it? When you go to the offices and people are actually giving people unwelcome touches and all those things, they don't realize that they are doing so. Subconsciously, people harass people without knowing that they are harassing them. So this is how serious the thing is. And this thing is, it causes emotional stress, emotional trauma, because when it comes to the violence part, when someone is forced to engage in some sexual acts with a person, it causes emotional damage to the person. And these things sometimes goes to the extreme where someone says, oh, I'll never marry again, or I hate men. It's very serious because if someone goes through these things, the person tends to have that kind of mindset, which is negative, and this wouldn't help. So it's a very serious issue that needs to be discussed.
Yeah, and per research, people who go through this experience are more likely to have suicidal thoughts because they feel that their value is being taken away or they feel worthless. Yeah.
So definitely it starts from the verbal.
Sure.
Oh, okay. We will now go to Sister Abigail Ofori Amwa. She'll be talking to us on this same topic, sexual harassment, but her main focus will be on the scriptural side of this topic, and then she'll also she'll touch on whether we do experience this from our superiors.
Sexual harassment in simple terms is any unwanted sexual conduct. So it's a form of harassment that involves the use of implicit and explicit sexual overtones that are usually inappropriate and unwanted to garner sexual favors from people or others. There is no safe place from sexual harassment. Sexual harassment can take place at home, it can take place at the workplace, it can take place in school, and it can also take place in the church. So the church is not an absolute safe place from sexual harassment or from perpetrators of sexual harassment, even though the church is supposed to be a safe place. But then we have people, perpetrators of sexual harassment in the church. So often people who experience sexual harassment, especially at the workplace and the church, find that environment very hostile. So they are not able to be themselves because of the abuse that they have gone through. Sexual harassment can be verbal, it can be gestures, and it can go even as far as turning into sexual assault, which puts people at a disadvantage because of the power the perpetrators have over them. Most often, the best thing to do when you are a victim of sexual harassment is to report to authorities. If it's at the workplace, you report to the authorities at the workplace. If it's at the church, you report to the authorities. But in as much as I'm saying this, it is very important, and I believe it is vital that workplace employers, the authorities, should make how do I say this? They should adopt a clear policy that prohibits sexual harassment. The policy should be clear. The punishment should be made known to the perpetrators that if you harass anyone sexually at the workplace, this is what is going to happen. But most often these policies are not really clear, and people do not know what to do when they find themselves in such situations. Before I move on, I just want to make something clear that men and women can both be perpetrators of sexual harassment. Often we find men at the forefront of sexual harassment because people believe that they are the only ones who can perpetrate these acts. But then women can also do same, and so both men and women can be perpetrators of sexual harassment. Now in the church, let's come to the church. The church is supposed to be a safe haven for believers. It's supposed to be a place where we can share our burdens, we can have fellowship with other people, and we as Christians are supposed to live a wholesome life. I mean, the Bible makes it clear to us. We are supposed to be modest, we are supposed to live in purity, and we're supposed to have respect for others, because the God that we serve is a God of purity, and He has respect for everyone. And if we are to embody the wholesomeness of Christ, that means we are supposed to do same. We're supposed to respect other people. We are supposed to live pure lives. We're supposed to be modest in the church. And we should know that sexual harassment or sexually inappropriate behavior is always wrong, even if it is not legally defined. As Christians, it is always wrong, even if it is not legally defined. So when we read 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 1 to 2, we see that we are entreated to treat the young men as our brothers, respect the older women, and treat the younger women as our sisters. If you treat somebody as your sister, you will not make sexually inappropriate comments about the person. If you treat somebody as your brother, you don't make sexual inappropriate comments about him. And even, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Here we see how we're supposed to love each other. We're supposed to protect each other. I mean, love must be pure. We should honor each other. There should be that self-sacrifice. And we should be able to admonish ourselves that even if I have these inappropriate thoughts about somebody, it is wrong. I have to change my mindset. And you definitely cannot spew these words out of your mouth towards or to your brother or sister in the church. So we should refrain from talking to others in a sexually suggestive way. I mean, Ephesians chapter 4 verse 29 tells us that we shouldn't let corrupt talk come out of our mouths. So ask yourself, what I'm thinking or what is in my mind, if I bring it out, is it honorable? Is it pure? Am I respecting my brother or sister in the church? So for me, I believe that the Christian life is simple. Love one another. If I love my brother or my sister as a believer, I will not do something that will disrespect him or her. I will not even go to the extent of abusing him or her sexually, because it is wrong. We've seen instances in the Bible that people were punished for it. I mean, the Bible frowns on sexual immorality. Most often we think that sexual immorality has to be maybe engaging in sexual activities, but even the things we say can be sexually immoral. So in the church, if we want to put a stop to these things, church authorities must make these things clear. They must bring out policies that says that if you sexually assault or you sexually abuse or harass anybody in the church, you will be punished for it. They should make clear these punishments. And believers must also instill in themselves the fact that Christians are not supposed to behave in an inappropriate manner. We are supposed to be the light of the world, so our behaviors and our actions must portray that of Christ, because he's the one that we are looking up to. He is the example that we are looking up to, and it is because of us that others in the world will change. So to end it all, and just as I've said, if you do not respect your brother or your sister morally, let me say sexually, morally, let me say disrespecting God, because God is not an immoral God. He is right, he's righteous, he's always moral. So we have to also bring out these qualities that God has instilled in us. We should show love to each other, we should honor people, we should live pure lives, and we should be able to renew our minds, process your thoughts before you bring them out, so that they'll be wholesome and they will be pure. These, I believe, will curb sexual harassment in the church, because it is a very serious issue. And if the church is not a safe place for believers, where else would we find a safe place?
Well, I was in Kenya, Steve. Yeah. Katanga Hall and then Konti were just single sex, so just for the boys. And then when you are passing by, the comments, Mama Otono, Nanti Ye, Sikiwo, Mame, like who does that? But then it was going on
so
campus.
awkward.
Yes, and then it was uncomfortable, but then they'll do it. Yeah, that was so bad. Yeah. What of you guys?
As my experience is very sad. Whenever I remember it, I feel sad for what happened to me.
That's so sad.
It was in a shuttle. We all know the KNUST shuttle. When we are packed like that, I remember the shuttle came from business school. I was at Castley Hayford, so I picked the shuttle. We were a lot, so we entered. And we entered. Once we entered, yes, we're all trying to settle and get a place for our bodies.
Pushing each other.
Then, as I turned, I felt something at my back. Who is there? So I turned. There was a guy. He was so close to my buttocks. I was like, hey bro, go back a little. So I tried to push myself forward. As I was moving, the guy was also moving. I was like, oh, come on. These things are like, they are so unfair. Yes, so
You paused.
mine is very small. So what the guy was doing was unfair. Probably he didn't know he was sexually harassing me. But it is sexual harassment. If you are watching this, it's for you.
For me, my first experience was in SHS. We went for super zonals and we had to leave the stadium, but the place was crowded and we didn't have any place to pass, so we had to just move through the crowd just like that. As we were moving, we got a spank from the guys. Some people touched our butts. It's not like they are just touching, they touch and press. Some to our boobs, they touch and press. And I felt so, because it was crowded. We didn't have any option. So we had to endure it like that. Honestly, I cursed them because I felt worthless, or I felt I have lost some value. And when we also came to KNUST, I experienced the same thing as I've now said in the shuttle. KNUST shuttle. Hey, I entered the shuttle and the shuttle was moving. I felt something hard behind me. So I turned and realized there was a guy behind me. So I wanted to move forward. As I moved forward, the guy also was following me. He also moved. I don't know, and I couldn't do anything because we were packed like sardines.
Exactly.
Everyone on campus knows what I'm talking about. So
This
I don't
is
know.
a
It
serious
is very
thing.
bad.
Like,
And in Ghana, it's like the systems here. We don't have systems, or we don't have strict systems to control these things. You've experienced these things. How are you going to report? And even after reporting, are they going to follow up? In some way.
although we are laughing and then smiling,
But it is a serious issue.
Exactly.
A lecturer or as an employer, you wouldn't want someone to do the exact same thing you are doing to a female, to your daughter. Yeah, so we should be mindful of that. Okay, back to Bridget. Can we talk about the most vulnerable people when it comes to sexual harassment?
Yeah, for me, I think ladies, and even with ladies or girls, you have to be specific, especially girls or ladies below 18 years. You see, most of these people are dependents. I mean, they depend on their parents, their uncles, or other people. So when they go through such situations, they find it difficult to talk to people, or even their own close people. I mean, family members, their parents or their uncles can harass them, and these people will tell them, hey, don't tell anyone. So it's, I don't know, it pushes the person not to tell anyone, to keep quiet, and this person will suffer the consequences alone. But I think though men go through it, but it's rare, it's not common. So ladies or women or female in our society, they are the most vulnerable people to experience sexual harassment. I don't know, in Ghana, hardly will we hear that this man is being harassed. You see, it's not common, and
We know it's
easy,
there, but not common.
it is easy for a man to force you and pounce on you or to have sex with you. But for ladies, it will be very difficult for a lady to touch a man, force you. Now, you can't even approach the person. So when it comes to these issues, I believe women or ladies are vulnerable. Okay.
And then this serves as an advice to our parents. I think they should really start
close to
and then start educating their kids, like from infancy. You should have this kind of conversation with them, so that if anyone or any guy approaches them in such manner, they'll know what it is. Okay, Abnasewa. I think I like your name. Are there some behaviors on the part of the victim that encourages sexual harassment?
Okay, so this one we'll talk about dressing. My ladies, don't come for me, but this one is the fact. It
Don't
happens.
be hard on her.
Okay, we'll talk about dressing. Sometimes the dresses that some ladies wear are really, how should I say it? they are appealing to the eyes. And we know men, you see, when you wear something that will seduce a man, definitely the person will come for you. Do you get it? Some ladies say that, oh, it's my body, so it's my dress, so I choose to wear what I want. But you know that in this world there is this Akan where that says that and Sakon and Safa,
hands go, hands come.
Exactly. Does it fit what I'm saying? Exactly, and Sakon and Saba. So as you wear these things to appeal the person, definitely the person will come for you. So one thing we should notice our dressing. These things are things that really seduce men and causes them to do those things to us. But even though I'm talking about dressing, as a man, you should learn how to control your eyes, because we know that definitely you guys are moved by your eyes. But learn to control your eyes so that it's not everything that you see. When we are kitty now, I just get kitty and don't you want to go for the child, then it means you have something wrong with you, where you need to go to the hospital or you need to see a psychiatrist. So I think when it comes to dressing is the main thing. So we should learn to dress and cover some sensual parts of our bodies as ladies, so that will prevent the guys from harassing us sexually.
Yeah, and for some men, because of the orientation or the background that they are coming from, probably they've been exposed to pornography and other things. So these things affect their thoughts or how they think. So anything, even if you are a lady and you dress if you take a overall, you cover every place, they will still feel something, and if you don't take care, they will follow you and rape or harass you. So it's not about it's my body, Mina, this is what I like and this is what I want to wear or put on. Though you have the freedom, you have the right to wear whatever you like, but at the end of the day, if this person follows you and rapes you, you might be going through the consequences alone. So you have to think about that it's not just about you, but think about the long-term consequences. So we have to be very careful and know how to dress decently.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you very much. Now we will go to Dr. Lydia Jan Kese. She will be talking to us on about men who do face the sexual abuse. Yes, of course, we are not leaving you guys out.
You don't be biased.
Yeah, we won't do that. We won't do that. Yeah, so we will listen to what Dr. Lydia Jan Kese has to say.
Hello, and thanks for inviting me. So the question that needs to be answered is, as a family or in a society, how do we respond to an individual who has been sexually abused? So we'll first take it from the person who is like that sister or that friend that is confided in that this and that person has violated me in this particular way. First of all, it is very important that they don't take a shower right after, or they don't try and groom themselves in any way right after the incident. That is like if they report it to you immediately. They report to the hospital and let a doctor examine them so that they take the necessary evidence and then report the case to the police as necessary. Even if they report it to you, let's say a week after or whenever after, it is so important that they do go to the hospital to be examined and also get tested for sexually transmitted diseases. They may be required to take what we call post-exposure prophylaxis, because you really do not know the person who abused you, their HIV status or anything. So it is important that you report to the hospital, that the necessary medication is given, and that also very important that they do report to the police and that the case is handled there. You should remember that if somebody is abused by a particular individual, they may not necessarily be the first, and they may not be the last person. That is why it is important that you report to the police and that they do hold that individual accountable. As a society, we tend to look at individuals who are sexually abused as as more of, let's say, maybe they were calling for it, especially when it comes to women. When it comes to men, it's a whole different dynamic. But when it comes to women, we tend to think that maybe perhaps it was the way they were dressed, it was maybe they were being suggestive and all of that. But remember that nobody has the right to violate your personal space like that. And so we should stop victimizing individuals who already have been abused, who may be undergoing some amount of stress mentally themselves. We should rather have empathy for them. Empathy. And as a society, we should hold the one who abused them accountable for their actions. As a Christian family, we are also reminded that we should bear one another's burden. So empathy is number one. Feel for that brother or sister who is going through this traumatic process. The second question is that, can men be sexually abused? Absolutely yes, and yes. Most men do report that their first sexual encounter was with an older woman. So that auntie who is at home, they finish quote unquote bathing and they'll call you, hey, maybe could you come over and put some cream on my back, or can you just grab me this towel or that? That is usually how young boys are lured into some amount of sexual abuse. Let's also not forget that older men are also abusing younger boys sexually as well. And even in the workspace, when a gentleman may be going to look for a job, or maybe going to look for, in that particular setting, going to look for a job, and they may be hindered or required to give a little to get the position that you're looking for. So yes, men are sexually abused. So what should they do if a man is sexually abused? Or if a young boy is sexually abused? As parents, it is important that you do talk to your children about signs of sexual abuse, or so like they should know that no adult or nobody that is for children. No adult is allowed to look at, let's say, your private part, or touch your private part, or touch you inappropriately. The children, the young boys should know the signs of sexual abuse, and then you actually reinforce the fact that whenever that happens, regardless of who it is, they should report to you, so that you as the adult or as the parent, you take the necessary action. If you're an adult male, you may be in an environment that, if you're in an environment that is suggestive, that somebody's being suggestive of wanting to be inappropriate with you, leave the environment, and definitely report it. So a man being sexual abuse, but the process or the procedure that is no different from a woman. So do confront or have the conversation with an individual. That is for the older person, if it's possible. And if it's possible, and you can leave the environment or seek help, seek counseling. Seek help or seek counseling. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Dr. Jan Kessie. Yes, the guys, we know. You see, we know you go through that. We are also sorry we are sorry for also behaving in that manner. And then I hope this lesson will kind of educate the ladies out there, and then us as well, so that we'll do what is right and appropriate to help you guys as well. Okay, back to you. How should we handle sexual harassment?
On the part of the individual who is going through the harassment?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's high time we speak out when when people harass us sexually, because sometimes we feel like, oh, it's not really a big deal. He just touched you. He just touched your toes. It's a little touch, so just let it go. But little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. He touches your buttocks today, you don't talk about it. Tomorrow he touches your breast, you don't talk about it. The next time he's pushing you down and forcing something into you that you don't like. So it's high time we speak out when people tend to harass us sexually, because as Bridget said, you are the only person who goes through the trauma when it happens. When you are in your room having those suicidal thoughts, it's only you and your God. So it's high time we speak out. And I think...
Wait, so I don't mean to interrupt you.
Okay.
But you see, naturally we have people who are kind of, should I use the word timid?
Shy personality.
Yeah, that kind of personality. what should they do? Like naturally, they don't know how to voice out their emotions.
They are intimidated.
Yeah, so they tend to keep everything to themselves.
Exactly. There are certain things that you can't keep to yourself. Let's say I'm introverted and I'm hungry. Definitely, I'll look for food. I'll tell my mother that, Mom, I'm hungry, because it's a necessity. If I don't eat for like 5 days, definitely I'll die or I'll be dead. Let me say it that way. So these are some things that we should see as a necessity as well. Someone is harassing you. You have to be able to speak out, because if you don't speak, it's going to turn into something that will cause you a lot of things, your virginity, your dignity, and all that. So these are certain things that we should take as necessary things. And I think if you are someone who is very timid, someone who doesn't voice out, I think you need to seek counseling, or you need to speak to someone who is very close to you. But I doubt there is no one in this earth who doesn't have someone who he's close with. Come on, it's either your mom, your dad, or your sibling, or there is this one person that you share a lot of things with. You should be able to seek help with that particular person. Tell the person what is happening so that you can find solutions to it.
Thank you very much.
One thing, and with these issues, when someone comes to you and report or tell you such issue, we shouldn't be too quick to judge, because as you said, some people naturally they are timid or they always feel intimidated. It might be a personality problem or something, but we have to be willing to listen to people, because if you start judging, these people will go away.
Exactly.
They wouldn't even bother to come to you and tell you that this is the thing that I'm going through. So we shouldn't be too quick to judge.
Don't be too quick to judge. Don't forget as well to also send in your comments. Yeah, your contributions are very important to us. We need that as well to educate everyone. So I think we have the last question. What should the youth know, Bridget? What should the youth know about sexual harassment, and what should they do to prevent it?
Okay, as we said earlier, sexual harassment is a serious problem, and we shouldn't play or joke with it at all, because it has a long-term effect, and it might lead to depression, anxiety, and other issues. So what I would tell the viewers is, I'll talk about two things. The first one is set boundaries. Though just let people know what you want and what you don't want. Though there are times that you can tolerate or compromise, but if it gets to the point that you can't, just let people know. And the second one is be bold to talk about certain things. You see, in Ghana, when you are being plain, let me say it, when you are being plain, some people tell you that you are rude, but Charlie, hey, that then might lead to something that you might regret forever. So if you don't like it, be bold and speak about it. Just tell the person. If a guy proposes to you and you like you're not interested, just tell the person, no, I'm not interested. Men can't tell some make for doing one, but then I'll doing rubber. Just tell the person, I'm not interested, and move on. Now the money for couldn't push your agenda sounds so that's not, no, it's not nice. So please just be bold to talk and set boundaries. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next question goes to Anna Insia, and then she went for a competition just recently, and then she is the Miss KNUST, that is Miss Today's Woman, right? Yeah.
Fresh in town.
Yes. And then during the competition, she did a research on sexual harassment. Okay, so she'll be sharing her findings with us.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Insia, the reigning queen for KNUST Today's Woman 2022. As I was a delegate, I was tasked to present on any case that I wanted to, and I picked sexual abuse. It would interest you to know that so many young ladies out there are having this problem and they are scared to speak about it. What at all is sexual abuse? Sexual abuse is the molestation. It's the harassment of anybody's sexual private parts that brings shame and humiliation upon the person. It would interest you to know that So many young ladies out there in the church, anywhere around the world, are going through this sensitive issue. You and I need to come to the realization that we need to join forces together to solve this issue. Sexual abuse is not tolerated anywhere in the world. Do you know that in the Constitution of Ghana, this is a violation of human rights? That means if you sexually abuse someone, you have violated the human rights and it's punishable by the law. Sexual abuse should not be tolerated by anybody. If you have ever been through it, my dear, speak up. Let us help you. Seek counseling so that you'll be free to live your life again. Sexual harassment needs to be dealt with and needs to be spoke about so that victims and culprits should be dealt as it's supposed to be. Spotlight on the Word is having this program to enlighten us and also to raise the awareness on sexual abuse. As I said earlier, during my presentation, I conducted a survey and I had so many people coming to me talking about this issue, how their sisters, their girlfriends, and even some of their mothers have been through sexual abuse. We've heard stories about females and even guys going through abuse, and at the end of the day, they take their lives because they can't bear the shame that this act comes with. Nobody should go through sexual harassment. If you have ever been through it, please, my dear, speak up, seek help, talk to a church friend, talk to someone that can help you, so that the culprits that dealt with you would also be dealt with. Anything in the form of rape, anybody touching you without consent should not be tolerated. In the questionnaire I shared, there was this one story I had that a lady was molested by a guy sexually just because the lady was rushing, just a guy. So the guy had it as a privilege to molest the lady and rape her. This story should never be told anywhere. That because Obana feel interest, you should go ahead and molest the lady sexually. It gives you no right to do that. My dear people, as the reigning queen, supporting this project by Spotlight on the Word, I urge you all to join forces so that we put our resources and our minds together to curb this issue. In this month, we are saying no to sexual abuse, no to sexual harassment, and no to rape. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Anna. Okay, any last comments? Brief one.
Okay, so briefly, I want to steal the mantra of the police. If
They'll
you
come
see,
after you.
if you see something, say something. If you're a teacher and you see that a male teacher is making advances on the little kids, trying to touch certain places that are not supposed to be touched, try to seek try to tell those in authority so that they observe and make decisions about it. And if you're a mother, your child came and told you that, oh, try to go and report. We should be able to speak out when these things happen. We should have a voice so that these things will stop. We need to stop harassment now.
Have a voice. Sabrina,
Yeah.
what do you have to say?
You are valuable. You are valuable. Don't let people take advantage of you just like that. And if someone does something to you and you feel uncomfortable, you don't like it, just talk to the person. Or if you think you can't talk to the person directly, find someone you trust or confide in and let them help you. Don't suffer it alone, please. Your life is valuable.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies. I think we are getting to the end of today's discussion. Don't forget to follow us as well. We'll be glad to share your social media handles with us. Please don't go and harass them, please, the guys. Okay.
Oh, okay. So you can follow me on my environmental advocate group on social media at every_day green living, and I do a podcast with Abna. You can also follow our podcast on life_nurtured, and also on TikTok Yeah, my personal account. Ama Intriwa. The Intriwa is NTRIWAA. Yeah.
Okay. You can follow me on Twitter at
Twitter.
Aravina with a double A. Please follow me. I'll follow you quick. Okay, you can also follow me on Instagram at E_Rabina. Yes, E_Rabina. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ladies, for honoring our invitation.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to.
You're welcome. Once again, I would like to remind us of the activities we'll be doing this month, since it's the Ladies' Month.
Yeah.
Okay, so one is sexual abuse, the woman's choice, unwanted pregnancy, breast cancer, the role of the woman in the church, and then an interview. Thank you very much for watching us, and stay tuned for more.
Bye.
Bye.
Give me the Bible.